twisting circuit. Prost in the McLaren, Mansell in the Williams make up the second row. Rosberg in the other McLaren, and Patrick Tambay qualifying very well in the Lola. They make up the third row. Eighth fastest, Britain's Johnny Dumfries. Martin Brundle, he qualified 16th. Derek Warwick 19th, and Jonathan Palmer 24th. Right, they're on the warm-up lap now, so we'll join James Hunt and Murray Walker.
So, history is being made. It is starting now, and Ayrton Senna is leading round on the parade lap to the formation of the starting grid.
Yes, and a fascinating Grand Prix. It's going to be the first ever Grand Prix, World Championship Grand Prix in the Eastern Bloc, and what a good job they've done. Beautiful new circuit they've put together in only 6 months, with tremendous safety facilities, all up to date and very well organised. So far things have gone pretty much without a hiccup. Ayrton Senna, who gained the pole position yesterday, is in fact a little bit concerned because he's going to have to start from the right-hand side of the track where there's a lot of dust, and is concerned he's not going to be able to get enough grip at the start. Would have preferred to be in second place on the grid where Nelson Piquet is starting from. Very twisty, tight circuit, a lot of slow corners, no really quick corners, and an average speed, although they qualified as a little bit over 100 miles an hour. It's the race trim, they're going to be a little bit under 100 miles an hour, so the 2-hour rule is probably going to be invoked, and they won't quite go the full distance. Prost, of course, is in his spare car. He had mechanical trouble just as he was going out for the warm-up lap, had to switch to the spare car. Undulating circuit and an absolutely huge crowd here today. Senna now slowing it down, trying to keep the field bunched behind him. And the circuit is really very billiard table smooth and quite slippery. Coming round to complete the lap, Senna just giving him a little squirt on the throttle there to heat the rear tyres up, give it a bit of wheel spin. The final right-hander, that on the right you see there is the pit entrance road. Bringing them slowly onto the grid, but the field's pretty spread, so Senna is going to have to sit there for quite a long time with the car in gear, which means the clutch drags and gets a little bit of extra heat. And of course the water temperature goes up all the time because they need the movement of air. There are no fans on Grand Prix cars. They depend on moving through the air to cool.
You probably saw the massive crowd in the background. All the hills around the circuit are black with spectators. The last competitor is coming up into position. Derek Ongaro, the Englishman who starts all the Grand Prix, is ready to get this Hungarian Grand Prix going. And it's go in Hungary. And Nigel Mansell sprints through alongside Nelson Piquet. Everybody has got away well, and Mansell is up into second place behind Ayrton Senna as they go into the first right-hander. A superlative start by the Englishman, who's taken the Williams Honda up into second place, and it's Senna leading. Mansell in second place, Nelson Piquet in third position, and one of the Lola Fords, Patrick Tambay, is in fourth position. And the Lola Fords are going extremely well here in Hungary because their engine characteristics are absolutely right. And it's still Tambay in fourth position, Prost is fifth, and it looked like Gerhard Berger in sixth place behind him. And here they come. Now, each lap here is some 2.5 miles long. Senna is opening up just a little gap. The two Williams cars absolutely together. Patrick Tambay still holding on in fourth position. Then world champion Alain Prost, and it is Alan Jones in sixth position in the second Lola Ford. Very confident when the race began. He says the car is handling superbly and the engine is absolutely right for the characteristics of the Hungaroring. Senna Ayrton Senna, who has won 2 Grand Prix this year.
Tremendous start by Nigel Mansell. He anticipated it very well, got away, and the start is going to be particularly important here because there's such a tight, twisty track. Overtaking is really a serious problem here.
Up to the completion of lap 1, it's Senna, Mansell, Piquet, Tombe, Prost, Jones. Johnny Dumfries is in 7th position, and well up with him is René Arnoux in the Ligier. Underneath the bridge, down to the left-hander, which is turn 2, into the downhill S's, the very slow part of the circuit, and you see that Alan Jones is closing up on Alain Prost, who is in 5th place. Johnny Dumfries is in 7th position, closing on Alan Jones. Johnny Dumfries went extremely well in practice because he was in 8th position on the grid. But Senna, who incidentally had an engine change between the half-hour final practice this morning and the start of the race, and is using the older V6 Renault engine, the E15V, seems to have settled down extremely well. Lap 2 out of 77, or possibly less.
Yes, Renault had trouble with their latest economy, fuel economy engine, and both Senna and René Arnoux changed back to the old one after the warm-up this morning, and that was because they were not concerned about fuel consumption, and they were confident that the old engine would go better.
And already Alan Berg in the Osella, the unfortunate Alan Berg, who seems to be wasting his good Canadian money on the Osella, is out of the race with a broken turbo. So that's one retirement. Senna coming through to complete 2 laps, and he's extending his lead, and now Piquet is closing right up on Nigel Mansell. Tombe is still 4th, Prost is 5th, Alan Jones is in 6th position. And Piquet's up to 2nd. Piquet's gone through into 2nd place ahead of Nigel Mansell.
Yes, Piquet picked really the only real passing spot on this circuit, up the pit straight. The only straight of any length at all, as Senna starts to pull away a little bit, but we've got to look out for the 2 McLarens who were 1st and 2nd fastest in the warm-up this morning in race trim. But there is quite a queue, and overtaking is going to be very difficult indeed.
Into the pits, Rotengata and Alio is in 2, so already there are problems at the beginning of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and you can see for yourselves that Ayrton Senna has now built up over a 2-second lead between himself and Nelson Piquet, who is stretching away from Nigel Mansell, and I would imagine soon start to close on the Lotus Renault in front of him. Senna, Piquet, Mansell, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, we're on lap 3. Number 12, 26-year-old Ayrton Senna, one of 4 people who have won a Grand Prix this year, the other 3 being Piquet, Mansell and Prost. Now let's see what the gap is as across the line goes Ayrton Senna. Piquet is 2.74 seconds behind. Tombe is still 4th. Then Prost, Jones, Johnny Dumfries, Keke Rosberg is in 8th position, and Michele Alboreto is in 9th position in the Ferrari. And while Senna is looking pretty secure in the front, it's starting to look very fraught behind him, because although Piquet is there in 2nd place, look at the battle for 3rd with Mansell, Tombe, Prost. And as we look at Ayrton Senna, the Hungaroring is seething with rumours and facts, and James has been collecting them, and here are some.
Yes, the annual game of musical chairs has reached quite spectacular proportions this year, and the hottest story is that although the Williams team announced the other day when they got here that Nigel Mansell had signed for them next year, I understand on very good authority that Nigel Mansell had already signed a Ferrari contract. So Nigel seems to be in a very tricky situation with 2 contracts to his name. In the meantime, also, there was a rumor that started here that Alain Prost was going to go with John Barnard for the Ferrari team, and that is not correct. Alain Prost has personally confirmed the fact that he's staying with his 3-year contract with his last year to serve, and he is happy to be re-signing and staying with the McLaren team.
Lap 4, Senna leads. Piquet second, Mansell third, then Torbay, Prost, Jones, Dumfries, Rosberg, Alboreto, Patrese, and it's Johansson up in the Ferrari. So now on lap 5, and the heat, of course, in the driver's cockpits will be searing. The gap is closing because Nelson Piquet is just a whisker under 2 seconds and closing on Senna. You can see he's almost visibly closing. There he is in second position. There is Nigel Mansell third, Torbay fourth, Prost fifth, Jones sixth, Dumfries seventh, Rosberg, and then Johansson. So Senna is not exactly controlling the race from the front, but he's in a moderately secure position at the moment. But look at this railway train of Formula One Grand Prix cars, and amongst them, hats off to Riccardo Patrese, who is in 10th position behind Stefan Johansson. He's keeping up the Brabham extremely well. The car is still not accelerating as well as the Brabham team would like. Piquet second. Now let's look for the third. Well, there's Mansell. And Patrick Tambay is undoubtedly holding up Alain Prost, who has got Alan Jones right behind him. Patrick Tambay in the Lola Ford is holding them up, and Senna goes through. The gap between Senna and Piquet is closing. It's 1.75 seconds.
Yes, Prost has got to look for a good run out of the final corner of the lap, and Prost is looking to go down the inside of Tambay into the first corner. And Senna is certainly not getting away from Piquet. Senna was a marvellous sight to watch yesterday in practice. He was really spectacular when he did his pole lap, and he then entertained us roundly with a couple of spins later, trying to improve even more that time.
And you saw that Nelson Piquet, with this wonderful scrap going on behind Nigel Mansell in third position, is definitely closing on Ayrton Senna. Piquet, as I said earlier on, going for the World Championship for the third time in his career. Now there is Mansell third, Prost is ahead of Tambay, Jones is behind Tambay, there is Rosberg, Dumfries, Johansson, Patrese and Alboreto. So Alain Prost is now up into fourth position behind Nigel Mansell, with Nelson Piquet second and closing on Senna.
And very gratifying to see Johnny Dumfries going so well. This is certainly his best Grand Prix. That's the fastest lap so far by Nelson Piquet in his pursuit of Senna. He's closing on him, not quickly, but gradually inching that gap down.
94.3 miles an hour is the lap record so far, compared with the fastest lap in practice of just over 100 by Ayrton Senna. 1.5 seconds the gap, and that's Riccardo Patrese, and he, as you can see, is well and truly wedged up on the curb. No sign of Patrick Tambay, and Riccardo Patrese is not going to get out of that, I think. So now Mansell is in third position, Alan Jones is up into fourth place, Johnny Dumfries is in sixth position, in 15th place is Martin Brundle, in 17th place is Derek Warwick, and well down the field is Jonathan Palmer in the Zach Speed, and Riccardo Patrese retires from the Hungarian Grand Prix with Senna leading. Now you can see how Nelson Piquet is methodically reeling in the Lotus Renault.
Yes, and Nelson Piquet incidentally has one of Minardi's stop. That's the Cesaris, a retirement. And Nelson Piquet, who I think I said earlier this year didn't look a very happy man, and his driving seemed to be suffering accordingly, is very much back to his old self. He's much more bubbly and bouncy this weekend after his very good drive at Hockenheim, and Piquet is certainly in form. There's Patrese's car parked and stuck with its tummy on the curb.
it's enormously heartening to see the progress of Alan Jones. Piquet is still second behind Senna as Nigel Mansell exits the pit turn in third position, with Alain Prost still in fourth place, and you're looking at the battle for the lead. Alan Jones is now fifth ahead of Keke Rosberg in sixth position. So the Australian is up in the World Championship points, and Patrick Tambay is still in the race, albeit down in seventh position. This is lap 8, and there is the marvellous vista of the HungaroRing and the stirring sight of Nelson Piquet almost on the tail of Ayrton Senna's Lotus. Mansell there in third position. Prost is gaining in fourth place. There is Alan Jones in fifth, and Keke Rosberg in sixth position. Senna. Tremendous heat there. The heat in the driver's cockpit will be enormous.
Yes, this is going to be a very hard race indeed, physically, for the drivers. Very twisty track. There's no real rest for them, no long straight where they can get a bit of a breather. And the only saving grace for them is that the surface is pretty slippery, so the G-forces aren't as big as they might be. And, of course, the steering is therefore not quite as heavy as it could be. But the track is going to get more and more grippy as the race goes on, as the rubber goes down. It's got steadily faster throughout the weekend. One of the arrows goes into the pits there. And Nelson Piquet is now getting towards a position to challenge Ayrton Senna.
Less than half a second. There's Mansell you saw going through in third position. And Nelson Piquet, the winner of 2 Grand Prix already this year in Brazil and Germany, challenging Ayrton Senna, the winner in Spain and Detroit. Christian Danner, and you will notice, those of you who know about it, is in the new A9 arrows, because Thierry Boutsen was unhappy about the development of the car, and using his seniority in the team has opted to drive in the older A8 arrows. This is the battle for the lead in the Hungarian Grand Prix, the first one ever in the Eastern Bloc. We're on lap 9, and you see Senna versus Piquet, Lotus Renault versus Williams Honda, and the Lotus Renault next year will be a Lotus Honda. So Piquet is studying form, and very fast indeed, as you saw. Indeed, the fastest is Alain Prost.
Yes, and that confirms the warm-up times this morning, that Prost was quickest in the warm-up, and I would anticipate that he will be starting to close on Nigel Mansell in third place. Piquet is beginning to look for a way round Ayrton Senna, but I suspect it will be the pit straight as the base, as the possible passing place. Now they're into the last corner, coming out onto the pit straight. I don't think Piquet is close enough this time to challenge, but the Williams, remember, very powerful. And Senna moves over to protect the inside of the corner, blocking Piquet. I don't think he'll be able to deny him for very long.
Alain Prost is right with Nigel Mansell. You're looking at the battle for the lead, but there's a similar battle going on for third position between Nigel Mansell in the Williams Honda and world champion Alain Prost in the McLaren tag. Johnny Dumfries has just moved up into 7th place. Alan Jones is still 5th, being chased by Keke Rosberg. And you saw in the background there Mansell and Prost together as you look now on lap 10 out of 77 if it goes the full distance. Nelson Piquet harrying Ayrton Senna every inch of the way, and I have little doubt that at the end of this lap, when they get onto the 185 mile an hour, 700 meter straight, Nelson Piquet will punch his way past the Lotus Renault, although it looks to me as though Senna has got a slightly nimbler car on this twisty part of the circuit, and you can see now there is the Minardi of Alessandro Nannini. Out of the race already are Alan Berg, Hugh Brotengatter, Riccardo Patrese and De Cesaris, and it looks as though there's a bit of a kerfuffle trying to get Patrese's car off the circuit. Indeed there is, and that's lost Piquet his opportunity to get past. trying to drag the car across the friction of the tires, and Rosberg is right up with Matt. There goes Jones in 5th. Dumfries now up into 6th position. Down in 7th is Patrick Tombay.
And Prost looked as if he was going past Nigel Mansell as they passed our commentary position off, just off over the pits.
Alan Jones into the pits. Alan Jones in 5th position into the pits. Now, is this a tyre stop? Let's hope we have a look at it, although the producer's got a problem whether to show us. Senna and Pete. There is Alan Jones. And it's a slow tyre stop. There's not the usual frenzied action with all the mechanics working together that you see in a pit stop. But Alan Jones, who was in 5th position, in with the Lola Ford as Piquet continues to harry Senna for the lead.
We just got a glimpse in the background there of Alan Prost, who has moved up into 3rd place and has pulled out quite a lead on Nigel Mansell already. So Prost in clean air now chasing the leaders. So Prost in the spare car, but obviously working reasonably well. He already has the fastest lap. He's actually reduced that time to the one we saw just now. So Prost chasing the leaders as they tow Riccardo Patrese' car away.
And nearly collected Ayrton Senna in the process. Now, the fact that Prost is going as well as he is, as Senna and Piquet go through to complete the 11th lap, is a testimony to the preparation skill of the McLaren team, and Piquet's going through! Piquet on lap 12 takes the lead, dives inside Ayrton Senna at turn 1, and now he is on his way.
And that was a fine piece of driving by Nelson Piquet, because he really sold Senna a dummy. He feinted to look as if he wasn't going to pass, and then he went well late onto the brakes and got through on the inside. Senna there, seeing he was committed to that, making room for him, and so Nelson Piquet takes the lead.
Yes, and Alain Prost is visibly closing on both the new leader Piquet and the new 2nd place man Ayrton Senna. We have a real race on our hands here in Hungary, and it's Piquet leading, Senna 2nd, Prost is 3rd, Mansell is 4th, Keke Rosberg is now in 5th position, Johnny Dumfries is in 6th place, so both the Lotus Renaults are in World Championship points positions. Patrick Tombay is 7th, and Johansson has been into the pits and gone out again.
And Prost is really catching them hand over fist. He's far and away the quickest man on the circuit at the moment, and this could be a better race for McLaren than they've had recently, because fuel consumption is not a problem here. The track is so slow and twisty, they spend that much time off the throttle that most of the teams are expecting to be able to run as much turbo boost as they want for the duration of the race.
And Hungary is loving Grand Prix racing. All the spectators around me are standing up, waving their hands, cheering and shouting, and the gap now between 1st and 3rd is less than 2.5 seconds. Number 6, race leader, Nelson Piquet. There is Ayrton Senna, right behind him, Alain Prost, and very soon we're going to have a new 2nd place man, because Senna is visibly going slower than Prost, and Nelson Piquet is already catching tail-enders. There's Ginzani in front of him, and off goes Alliel. It's René Arnoux who has spun off. René Arnoux, who either goes incredibly quickly on the course or incredibly quickly off the course. And so now, look at it. There is Senna going through and taking Ginzani. Here is Piquet, and Piquet is making a masterly job of lapping the men in front of him. He's coming up to one of the Minardis now. It will be Nannini, I suspect.
Piquet just taking the Minardi there, and Prost will be quite happy, I think, to see back markers in front of Senna, because it's not going to be easy for him to find a way around Senna. The McLaren, although their chassis is very good, probably doesn't run quite as much ultimate power as the Renault-powered Lotus, which makes it a little bit hard work. Piquet will be very happy also to have Senna behind him as a bit of a goalkeeper to keep Prost out for the moment, because Prost certainly is the quickest man on the circuit when he's on his own.
2.3 seconds now between the man you're looking at, Nelson Piquet, leading the Hungarian Grand Prix on lap 14, and the battle for second place between Senna and Prost. Still in fourth is Nigel Mansell. Fifth is Keke Rosberg. In sixth position, what a superb drive already, Johnny Dumfries, who has lost his seconds now between the man you're looking at, Nelson Piquet, leading the Hungarian Grand Prix on lap 14, and the battle for second place between Senna and Prost. Still in fourth is Nigel Mansell. Fifth is Keke Rosberg. In sixth position, what a superb drive already, Johnny Dumfries, who has lost his place in the Lotus team next year. And now you see the time creeping down and the speed creeping up. 1:34.63 for Alain Prost, who's going faster and faster, lap by lap. Now, can Ayrton Senna legally keep him behind by using the track intelligently, making the most use of the racing line, which he's entitled to do? And all the time now, Nelson Piquet is easing away. The gap is 2.6 seconds. And this is lap 14. Now, the British drivers, Nigel Mansell is in fourth position. Johnny Dumfries is in sixth place. Martin Brundle is 11th. Derek Warwick is in a fine 12th place with his teammate Patrese out of the race. Jonathan Palmer is in 17th.
The big disappointment for Alan Jones to be a mechanical trouble so early in the race, because this has really been the best Grand Prix for the Haas Lola Ford team, with qualifying very well and Jones really going for it in the race. And keeping a careful eye on the tyres of the car whenever we get a close-up shot, looking for graining. Prost's rears look a little bit grainy, and that is the fear and the worry about tyres. The wear rate is not a problem here, but a lot of teams are expecting that they may have to change, and I see Senna's left rear has a little bit of graining, so does Prost, and his left front, but at the moment it doesn't look serious, and certainly that was reflected in the lap times. Senna went a little bit wide there, so it would suggest that the car's beginning to slide a bit more than he wants.
One of the things we haven't mentioned is that if you look across the circuit, you can see that the soil is very, very sandy indeed. And if there's a wind, and there has been a bit of a wind earlier on today, you can get a fine layer of sand on top of this already very smooth surface, and that does not help grip at all. Nelson Piquet then leading on lap 15. Behind him, there are Senna and Prost still in second and third places. Fourth is still Nigel Mansell, chased in fifth place by Keke Rosberg. Most of the McLarens well up. Sixth position, superb Johnny Dumfries. In seventh position is Patrick Tambay. And out of the right-hander, the third gear, turn 17, go first of all Senna in second place. Here he is, looking very smooth indeed.
And Prost has dropped back a little bit, and I think maybe the graining on his tyres is getting worse and starting to be a handicap. So Senna's just easing away a little bit. Prost was climbing all over the back of him.
Alessandro Nannini in the Minardi. An excellent driver. He's not got the credit he deserves in Grand Prix racing this year. It's his first year in Grand Prix racing. The Minardi is not one of the better cars, and that's a slight overstatement, but Nannini is driving extremely competently. Now there, you see on the left of the picture, Senna. In the middle now is Prost, and there is quite a gap between the two of them. And as you see, 4.5 seconds between Piquet in the lead, Senna in second position, and Piquet is coming up to catch and pass one of the Ligiers. Let's hope for his sake that it's not René Arnoux, because René Arnoux is not famous for his willingness to move over and let anybody through. This is the end of lap 16, and this should give Nelson Piquet his opportunity to get past the Ligier, and indeed it is Ready Arnoux as they go down to turn 1, third gear, 80 miles an hour, Senna still second, and into the pits comes Alain Prost in third position on lap 17.
Yes, that's right. That'll be a tyre stop. We were absolutely right. He was in a little bit of tyre trouble, graining the rears, and that's pretty early. So when Prost goes out again, he's really going to have to look after these tyres so as not to put the damage onto the new set.
As we return live.
And you return live to see the new race leader, Ayrton Senna, and he is now on his 36th lap, having just taken, as Steve told you, the lead from Nelson Piquet when Brazilian Nelson Piquet came into the pits to change his Goodyear tyres, and Senna has yet to do that. So now the race order in a thoroughly enthralling Hungarian Grand Prix, which I can tell you has got the whole of Hungary on its toes, and there are 200,000 people plus watching this race. That is Gerhard Berger, who was in fourth position in the Benetton BMW, clearing his pits, and race leader Ayrton Senna goes through on the inside of the Ligier. Don't take too much notice of that caption. We don't in fact know how many laps this race is going to run, and if that sounds a strange situation, I will say again, for those of you who didn't hear me say earlier on, that Grand Prix races either run the full scheduled distance or 2 hours, and if they are not able to run the full distance inside 2 hours, then that is when the race stops. Now, you've heard that Alain Prost has been into the pits for a long, long stop and out again. Keke Rosberg went in for a long stop and now is out of the race, because you there see number 2, Keke Rosberg's McLaren, being pushed sadly back into the pits with the brilliant ex-world champion Finn, who announced his retirement at the end of this season 2 weeks ago in Germany, out. And we are on lap 37 with Senna leading, not having made his tyre stop. Piquet second, having made his tyre stop. Mansell is in third position, and Ayrton Senna, who started this race on a mixture of B and C compound Goodyear tyres, so that means to say 3 Bs, which are the middle consistency on tyre compounds, and 1 C on his left rear, which is the softer one, and he's making his tyres at the present moment last longer than Piquet, but I wonder if he is staying out too long.
Well, he may just be gambling to go the distance, because there is no problem on wear. It's really a question of whether the tyres grain. That is, that the surface of the tread goes ripply, and that the rubber gets very soft on the surface. But certainly some of the teams were hoping, if they looked after their tyres, to be able to go the distance. Meanwhile, Piquet, of course, on fresh tyres, will be quicker, although he'll have to surf them a little bit in the opening lap, and he would expect to reduce that 20-second gap quite dramatically once he gets the tyres properly bedded in, but he will have to be careful.
Well, great news for British enthusiasts is that Martin Brundle, who has had such awful luck this season, is going great guns. In fact, he is in 5th position, and the order with Brundle in the Tyrrell Renault 5th on lap 38 is Senna leading. There he is, yet to make his tyre stop, and he's going through on another lap. Piquet second, Mansell in third position. In fourth place, it's Gerhard Berger, who has made a tyre stop. In fifth place, it's Martin Brundle. In sixth place, and welcome back to the World Championship points, Stefan Johansson in his Ferrari. In seventh place, Johnny Dumfries, who's driving a magnificent Hungarian Grand Prix. In eighth position is Philippe Streff, so both the Tyrrells are well up, and Senna, despite the fact that his tyres must be getting a bit worn, and Brundle coming into the pits, is the fastest man on the circuit. Now, a good pit stop is under 9 seconds, and that's what the Tyrrell team have done. That's what the Williams team have done for both Piquet and Mansell. 10.5. Senna leads. Here he is. Lotus Renault. Next year to be Lotus Honda. And Senna has signed a contract for another 2 years with the Lotus team.
Well, the speed that Senna is now going, it really looks as if he's looked after his tyres very well, because he's still managing to go quicker and quicker as the fuel load comes down. And it may just be that he's done the clever thing, nursed his tyres in the early part of the race, and is trying to go the distance.
Which would be an amazing achievement if he did. Well, he's exiting turn 17, crosses the line now. The gap between himself and Nelson Piquet previously, with Piquet having stopped for tyres, was 24 seconds. Mansell is still third, Berger is still fourth, Brundle is still fifth, and Johansson is still sixth, with Dumfries seventh, with Alan Jones in 13th position, with Jonathan Palmer in 14th place. And I'm waiting now to see Nelson Piquet come through. Well, there he is, and the gap is increasing, because it is now 28, nearly 29 seconds. Senna is driving magnificently and displaying a great deal of racecraft.
Yes, I mean, he's absolutely flying. He's just produced an even faster lap. He's going faster and faster all the time on what should be tired tyres, and that suggests to me that his apparent lack of real speed early in the race was a tactical effort to look after his tyres, to make them go the distance. Whether he'll be able to do that or not remains to be seen, but certainly in midway through the race now, with just over half distance, he is going quicker and quicker when one would normally expect him to be starting to struggle.
We've been doing some rapid calculations, and it looks to us as though at the pace they're going, the race may just go the full scheduled 77-lap distance, although it'll be a very close thing. Now, Senna has completed his 40th lap, as I talk to you, and there is Nelson Piquet coming out of turn 16, the left-hander, up to turn 17, the right-hander. He goes past the HungaroRing tall symbol with its knot at the top, which is supposed to symbolize road traffic, and my goodness, it does. But Senna is definitely pulling away from Nelson Piquet, because the gap as Piquet crosses the line is 28.25 seconds. Nigel Mansell is now 70 seconds behind the race leader in third position.
Well, Piquet certainly had to look after his tyres very carefully when they're fresh. The tyres are at their most fragile, because there's more rubber on them, you get a bigger heat build-up, and Piquet certainly would have been taking it carefully following his pit stop just 3 or 4 laps ago, but he now seems to be holding Senna, and it's the sort of time when he could start to speed up. We will now see if Piquet has got any answer to the increasing speed that Senna's turning on.
Well, while you watch Ayrton Senna, let's quickly repeat some of the rumours that are flying around the HungaroRing. The first is that Nigel Mansell, and it would appear from what we've heard to be rather more than a rumour, has actually signed contracts for both Ferrari and Williams, and if that's true, that will be a pretty incredible state of affairs. We still don't know what is happening to John Barnard. There is Senna completing his 41st lap, Barnard being the McLaren designer, and we still don't know what engines some of the teams are using next year.
I have it on pretty good authority, in fact, now that John Barnard has, in fact, done a deal with Ferrari and is going to Ferrari.
And the story is that next year's Ferrari will be designed in England. And that's another astounding development if it's true. Senna really motoring now, and the gap is 31 seconds. Senna is easing away from Nelson Piquet, and if he continues to go at this speed and increase his lead, it's going to be one of the drives of the year. It could well be, of course, that he's trying to build up the maximum cushion in order to come in for a pit stop and not lose the lead.
Well, I should point out that although we haven't said much about Nigel Mansell recently, but he's in a very safe, solid third place. He's certainly not in contention and hasn't for some reason been showing the speed that Senna and Piquet have up front, but he's some 45 seconds behind Nelson Piquet, but he's a similar amount in front of Gerhard Berger. So Mansell only has to keep going to pick up some pretty useful points in his search for the World Championship.
And Senna comes into the pit. Now, are we going to see Nelson Piquet retake the lead, having made his tire stop? Senna, of course, is running slower now than he would have been if he had completed the lap, and he stops. And I'm looking across the course to see where Nelson Piquet is as you look at the digital readout, and it's going to be a very good... It looks to me as though the right rear is stuck. Away go the jacks, 11.1, not all that brilliant. But as Senna sprints out of the pit lane, Nelson Piquet is only just coming round the last turn, and there is Nigel Mansell. So Ayrton Senna on new race rubber has had a masterly pit stop and has retained his lead, is now on lap 43, and the race is between Senna and Piquet, both of whom have changed tires, and there is Piquet in the background.
It's most important that Senna shouldn't get too anxious about his lead and go too fast too soon on the fresh rubber. He's in danger of graining the tires, that is rippling the flat, smooth treads if he gets too overexcited. And Piquet, of course, will have bedded his fresh tires in and will be able to go at full jack for the moment. But Senna must resist the temptation to respond for 2, 3, maybe 4 laps.
Johansson has moved up a place, and as you look at the race leader, Ayrton Senna in his Lotus Renault on lap 43, in what we expect to be just a 77-lap race, it is Senna leading, Piquet second, Mansell is third, a long way back, but in a secure position at the moment. Berger is in fourth position in the Benetton BMW. Fifth is Stefan Johansson now. Sixth is Johnny Dumfries. Seventh is Martin Brundle. Eighth is Philippe Stress. Ninth is Alio. Over the line goes Ayrton Senna, and from now on we will be able to give you the gap, because here is Piquet crossing the line now. 7.7 seconds is the gap between the man you're looking at, race leader Ayrton Senna, Lotus Renault, and the 1981 and 1983 world champion Nelson Piquet. Piquet ahead of his teammate Nigel, and there's Piquet in the background, getting past the tail ender, diving through. In the pits there is the arrows of Thierry Boutsen. That's the A8 arrows. Boutsen in 13th place. He is 3 laps down. Alan Rees with the word brake in his hand. That is to make sure that Boutsen puts his foot on the brake when the car stops and keeps it there, so that the wheels don't spin when the mechanics are trying to put, so the hubs don't spin when the mechanics are trying to put new wheels and tires on. Ayrton Senna leading. Double Grand Prix winner in 1986, Ayrton Senna, the man who won in Spain and Detroit. Leading double Grand Prix winner Nelson Piquet, the man who won in Brazil and Germany. In third place is 4 times 1986 Grand Prix winner Nigel Mansell, Belgium, Canada, France, and that superb win at Brands Hatch. And here's Senna. Now we'll see what the gap is. 44 laps completed. Mansell leads the World Championship this year. Prost is second, but out of the race. The gap is 9.5 seconds. Senna is pulling away again from Nelson Piquet. And even if they finish in the places that they're in now, Nigel Mansell will still be leading the World Championship at the end of this race, provided, of course, that he finishes in third position. Well, a long, long pit stop for the unfortunate Thierry Boutsen, who was miserably saying to me this morning, I really have had the most appalling luck in 1986. I seem to be incapable of finishing races or even doing well in practice. He's had 7 failures to finish in the 10 races that we've had so far this season, and Ayrton Senna displaying that amazing maturity and speed, which is his hallmark, is increasing his lead. Double winner 3 times, second places, third at Monaco, 5th in Canada, only 3 failures to finish. And he comes up now to Philippe Streff in the Tyrrell. He's going to lap him. He's already lapped him once. But Philippe Streff is in 8th position. Just 3 cars on the same lap. Martin Brundle seems to have slowed down in 7th position. I wonder if it's some sort of gearbox problem. Well, if Senna keeps going the way he is, there is little doubt that he's going to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, because constantly the gap is increasing. And it is a testimony to the way that he nursed his tires. He came in late. There's Gerhard Berger stopping. Well, off comes the steering wheel, and that's not a mistake. They are detachable so they can get out of the car. And Berger joins the retirement, which includes Keke Rosberg and Theo Fabi. So both the Benetton BMWs are out. Alboreto out, Warwick out, De Cesaris out, Patrese out. But up to 5th place has come Johnny Dumfries, lap 46. Senna leads, Piquet 2nd, Mansell 3rd, Johansson 4th, Dumfries 5th, and there is Gerhard Berger, the Austrian, and that is a special Keep Cool skull cap that he's wearing to keep his brain working properly and not overheat. He's one of the few drivers who wears them. Martin Brundle does occasionally, but is not wearing one in this race. And here's Ayrton Senna, who doesn't seem to have any brain heating or any other problems, coming out of turn 17, completing now over the line his 46th lap.
Yes, nothing wrong with the way Senna's brain's been working today. He showed great restraint in the early laps of this race, and that may well turn out to be the decisive factor. He looked after his tires, he let Piquet go, he didn't chase hard to start off with, and then towards half distance, as Piquet came in for fresh tires, Senna really turned it on his old set that he'd nursed so well, and pulled out the gap enormously, enabling him to get in and out of the pit ahead of Nelson Piquet, and now the gap is remaining fairly static, so Piquet is in fact holding him, and it does look as if we've got a race on our hands.
Ayrton Senna had a bad patch in France and the British Grand Prix, which preceded the last one in Germany, because he failed to score points in either of them. But then he came back with a bang in Germany to finish in 2nd place to Nelson Piquet, and he's maintaining that form now by leading in Hungary. And into the pit now, you'll see in a moment. Up to his pit comes Nigel Mansell for the 2nd time in this race. I have quietly suspected that something was wrong with Nigel Mansell's car, because he was running much slower than I expected him to. This is his 2nd pit stop, another very good one from the Williams team, again under 9 seconds. And I say again that Frank Williams is here in person, in his wheelchair, watching over the Williams team in the pit lane. Great news.
Yes, and looking just vastly improved. When I saw him a month ago or thereabouts at the Silverstone Tower test, and it's tremendous to see him. Frank's moving around a lot more with the upper part of his body. He's able to move his own wheelchair a little bit already, and is hopeful of being able to really get it moving properly in due course. But he certainly has visibly and dramatically improved.
Well, look at Nigel Mansell, still in 3rd position. I have been saying for a long time now that I expect the World Championship to go right down to the wire. The last race, race 16 in Adelaide in Australia, and certainly the indications are being underlined that that is the case at the moment, because if the positions stay as they are now, Nigel Mansell will be leading the World Championship after the Hungarian Grand Prix, only by 4 points from Senna, with Piquet in 3rd position, tying with Alain Prost. We've got to wait and see what actually happens, but what started off as a 5-horse race is now turning into a four-man and car race for the World Championship. Keke Rosberg very definitely out of it. Here is Senna coming through to complete lap 48. Still a long way to go in this Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yes, the question that Mike Knudsen, who does our lap chart and a lot of observation for us, asked me is, will Piquet make a second tyre stop? And that obviously gets prompted by the fact that Nigel Mansell has made 2 stops, because if that is the plan, that will be a big advantage to Senna, because it's quite clear that Senna is hoping to go the distance on his second set.
And shows every indication of doing so. 9 seconds is still the gap between Senna and Piquet. Mansell is still in 3rd place. Johansson in the Ferrari is in 4th place and on 3 World Championship points. Johnny Dumfriesen is in 5th place, and we're all keeping our fingers crossed that the popular Scotsman finishes this race, because he's failed to finish in 7th so far, having been in the World Championship points several times in his first season of Grand Prix racing. And as he's out of the Lotus team next year, he's desperately looking for a drive for 1987 and needs a good result, which he's showing signs of getting here. And in 6th position is still Martin Brundle, so there's still 3 British drivers in the top 6. Mansell 3rd, Dumfries 5th, Brundle is in 6th position. Alan Jones for Australia is in 11th position, albeit 2 laps down. Jonathan Palmer is running 13th, 5 laps down in the Zach speed, and effectively there are now 14 cars in the race out of the 26 who started. Senna into turn 1, 3rd gear, 80 miles an hour, starts dropping downhill underneath the bridge, into turn 2, sweeping left-hander, 75 mile an hour, 2nd gear corner, up into 3rd for the downhill S's, the right at 60 miles an hour in 2nd gear, now the left, now another right, 3rd gear, 80 miles an hour, up the rise, building up to 150 miles an hour to the left-handed turn 5 at 150 miles an hour, into turn 6, the right-hander. There is Nelson Piquet going very well, the German Grand Prix winner, down to the top chicane, which they take about in at about 60 and out at about 70 miles an hour, down to turn 9, the left-hander at about 115 miles an hour, into the right, turn 10, now sweeping left-hander, where they're building up to 150 miles an hour, coming to towards the end of the lap, because this is the 120 mile an hour turn 12, into the bottom chicane, and you can see now that Senna has lapped Nigel Mansell. You saw the Williams Honda of Nigel Mansell and the black and gold Lotus Renault of Ayrton Senna together. Now, Mansell is going to unlap himself, or try to. Over the line they go. Mansell forcing his way through on the inside. And the gap between Senna and Piquet is down to 6.8 seconds.
Yes, I think Senna might be in a little bit of trouble. Can't see what it is. Mansell got lapped and then unlapped himself, and he will therefore be doing Nelson Piquet a favour by getting back in it, which is a surprising thing to do, because there isn't a lot of love lost between the two of them. So Mansell inadvertently is helping his teammate, and Senna is definitely in trouble. Senna is slowed. I can't see what the problem is, but Senna is slowing down. His right rear tyre looks very grained indeed, but I wouldn't expect tyre trouble to slow him as dramatically as that.
I could cynically suggest that since the Williams team are in touch with Mansell and Piquet by radio, that Nigel Mansell's forcing through on the inside there and holding up Ayrton Senna for a few moments, although he's now pulling away from him, was not an accident. But I wouldn't do so, because there's no doubt at all now about the fact that Nigel Mansell, having unlapped himself, is pulling away from Senna, who is on lap 51 in this, we expect now to be 77 lap race. The difference, 7.3 seconds there. Well, we'll see what it is at the end of the lap. as Mansell crosses the line, nearly a lap behind Senna, and the gap with Senna into a new lap and now Piquet into a new lap is 5.9 seconds. Piquet is catching Ayrton Senna. Two Brazilians, Senna leads, Piquet second, 26 laps to go. And it's anybody's guess who is going to win because they have both changed tyres.
It's getting a bit repetitive, these Brazilian 1-2s. We had that in Hockenheim last week, albeit the other way round. Piquet first, Senna second. But Senna is definitely in some sort of trouble. Chasing hard, he'll have a bit between his teeth now. He'll be aware of the fact that he's catching Senna quickly. He'll have been told by the radio from his pit, as well as the board they hang out as he passes every lap. And in fact, he'll be able to see Senna's car on some points of the circuit. Now let's have a look at Senna's tyres. Right rear looks a bit drained. He would certainly not be getting maximum performance from that, but I would be surprised if that has slowed him so suddenly.
Over the line goes Senna. Over the line goes Piquet. Gap, 3.49 seconds. Just going to watch these two now. Piquet is reeling in Ayrton Senna. We think it may be a 76-lap race now. The race started at 2:30 local time, so there's about another 32 or 33 minutes to go. 2:35 it started, actually. And it's Ayrton Senna leading, Nelson Piquet with Mansell third, Johansson in the Ferrari fourth, Johnny Dumfries is fifth, Martin Brundle is sixth. There is Piquet catching Senna. Philippe Strat is seventh, so both the Tyrrell Renaults are going well. 8th is Patrick Tombay, 9th is Philippe Alliot. Philippe Alliot has been lapped twice. René Arnoux is 10th, having been lapped 3 times. Alan Jones is 11th, having been lapped 5 times, and Palmer is 12th, having been lapped 5 times. And there is the race for the lead.
Well, I think it may in fact be tyre trouble that Senna's in. It's strange that he would suddenly have grained his tyres, because he seemed to be going fine and then suddenly started to slow down, but his rear tyres really look in a bit of a mess to me.
Let's watch. Ayrton Senna in the black and gold Lotus Renault, with Piquet visibly catching him now. Into turn 17 at the completion of their 52nd lap. As I say, the gap was 3.2 seconds. It's now under 2 seconds. In fact, it's 1.24 seconds as they cross the line. But soon it's going to be of academic interest what the gap is on the stopwatch, because it's a visual gap now. Turn 2. I can't imagine what the problem is that Senna has got. I imagine it must be some kind of a grip problem, because the engine sounds good and healthy as he went past the pits. But Nelson Piquet, in what is turning out to be very much the winning combination of 1986, the Patrick Head designed Williams chassis and the Honda V6 turbo engine, is now within sight of retaking the lead. This is lap 54. Senna leading, Piquet second, Mansell third, Johansson in the Ferrari fourth, Dumfries is fifth. So both the Williams and both the Lotus cars are in the top 5. Great drive for Johnny Dumfries. Another British driver, Martin Brundle, is in 6th position. And you're soon going to see a change for the lead. Past the HungaroRing symbol. See the way the course turns in the background to the left and then comes in again after the top part. And this is the end of lap 54. And the crowd rises to see Nelson Piquet come out of Ayrton Senna's slipstream. pass on the inside, and Senna retake the lead as Piquet overshoots almost.
Yeah, Senna put him under a lot of pressure there. He moved over on him, and that Piquet was committed. Here we see now Senna starts to move right, just as Piquet does. He's pushing him over to the right, and of course off the line there, the track is very slippery. So Piquet was committed, there was nothing he could do, and of course he arrived at the corner a little bit too tight, too quickly for that line. You see him lock his right rear wheel, but like the craftsman he is, he held onto the car, and I don't think it'll be very long before he gets by cleanly. But Senna certainly makes it very hard for people passing him. He's got a reputation as a very, very hard man, and he really lent on Piquet. He was, in fairness, I would say, a little bit naughty then, but when you're fighting for the lead of the Grand Prix, you're allowed a certain amount of license, and he got away with it. Nobody came to any harm, and he kept his lead.
Ayrton Senna is the fastest man on the course. He's just gone round in 1 minute 32.005, beating Keke Rosberg's previous lap record by the thick end of 0.7 of a second, which may not sound very much to you, but in fact at racing speeds is a very considerable increase. Well, Nelson Piquet is now going to have to methodically reel in Ayrton Senna again. Both of them in touch with their pits by radio, and Hungary, who is not used to this high-tech sport, is, as I said earlier on, loving every second of it. The crowd is riveted with interest and amazement.
Yes, mind you, for a long time, the Hungarians have been big fans of Grand Prix racing. I remember in the days when I was driving, a few misguided people used to write fan letters asking for pictures and things. A good 50% of those letters came from the Eastern Bloc countries. And Nelson Piquet, I think, will be happy to sit it out behind Ayrton Senna till he gets to the end of the lap and try and get a good run out of turn 17 onto the pit straight.
Right up almost in a passing position now, and he can get almost under the rear wing of Senna's Lotus Renault. He will be in a passing position when they come out of turn 17 and into the 185 mile an hour start-finish straight.
Yes, Piquet, with all his experience, will be very careful when passing Senna. He knows Senna is very hard, and of course he will be acutely aware that there must be no physical contact, because he's really got this race won, and the only, or barring mechanical failure, and the only other thing he can do is if he makes contact or allows Senna to make contact with him. Senna, you see, moving to the right, making it hard, and Nelson's got round the outside of it. Oh! Big slide from Nelson and nearly contact. Tremendous stuff, real wheel-to-wheel stuff.
Yes, and of course Senna will have had to back off momentarily there. He will have lost a bit of momentum, but that was a superb bit of driving. Let's see it again.
Yes, Senna moves to the right. Nelson breaks him down the outside, gets through. Sparks there from the car bottom. He's on the white line, which won't help his braking. Lose grip on that, and locks the right rear wheel, which he locked earlier when he tried to pass. A lot of opposite lock, holds the car, now cuts in front of Senna. Tremendous stuff.
So, Piquet leads, Senna second, an epic struggle between these two Brazilians, and we are now on lap 57 of the Hungarian Grand Prix, with 19 laps to run if the race goes its full distance at the end of this lap. And with Piquet having locked up his tyres momentarily on 2 occasions there, let's hope for his sake that he hasn't damaged them in any way, although he's probably on a moderately hard compound now and shouldn't have. See the magnificent setting of the HungaroRing, with all the spectators having a magnificent view, and Piquet is definitely pulling away.
Yes, he's going to have to be careful. I have a sneaking suspicion that he's got a little bit of brake trouble. I think either he's got the brake balance has moved a little bit too much to the rear, or else he's got a bit of a grabbing brake on his right rear wheel, because it seems more than a coincidence that the 2 occasions when he's had to fight under braking, i.e. to brake extra hard, he's locked that right rear.
And in making that move up into the lead and putting himself in a position for 9 World Championship points, Nelson Piquet has moved up a place in the World Championship, provided they all finish where they are. But who's to say? People say to me, why do the Brazilians do so well in motor racing? Because it's not just Nelson Piquet and Ayrton Senna. There's people like Maurizio Gugelmin in Formula 3 and Formula 3000. Maurizio Sandro Sala, who goes so well in Formula 3. Ex-world champion Emerson Fittipaldi, and so on. And the answer is that they start off in kart racing under tremendously competitive conditions in Brazil, and then in order to advance their career, they have to make the giant decision to leave their homeland and come over to a strange country with an alien climate, Britain, in order to get the maximum amount of racing experience. And Britain is where it's all at in terms of Formula Ford, Formula 3 and so on racing. So the Brazilians who come over have to be very, very committed and to have a lot of talent in order to make it worthwhile coming over in the first place. And you're seeing 2 of the best in the business now. There, number 6, leading on lap 59, Nelson Piquet, leading now by some 2.5 seconds from his countryman Ayrton Senna, with Nigel Mansell quite happy, I'm sure, in his 3rd position. Obviously, he would like to be higher, but whilst he keeps running, he's on 4 World Championship points, and certainly retaining his World Championship lead, because Alain Prost out of the race is in a no-score situation, and when the Hungarian Grand Prix started, Prost was 2nd in the World Championship. There's no love lost, by the way, between Piquet and Senna. They may both be Brazilians, but they're not the best of friends, partly because to some extent Ayrton Senna has usurped Nelson Piquet's place in the hearts of his countrymen.
Yes, and I don't think the incidents over the last 4 or 5 laps that we saw with the passing manoeuvres will have reduced any of that lack of love. I think I don't think Nelson will be too thrilled with the way that Senna made it so hard for him to get round when it was fairly certain that he was going to.
Marvellous drive by Senna, because after all this is his 39th Grand Prix. It's only his 3rd year of Grand Prix racing and only his 2nd year in an effectively Grand Prix winning car, with respect to Tolman the year before last, whereas it's Nelson Piquet's 121st Grand Prix. Piquet's got a lot more experience than Senna in Grand Prix conditions, and look how well Senna's driving.
Yes, indeed, and that also was, as we saw them go up the pit straight there, as Piquet just powered past the Tyrrell. That was pretty indicative of the power that the Honda engine is producing. He found it pretty easy to pass everybody when he's needed to on the one fairly short straight that we've got here.
Well, we've talked a lot about Piquet leading, Senna 2nd. It's just re-established that Nigel Mansell is still in 3rd position, putting him in a strong position to retain his World Championship lead. And at the end of this race, there will still be 5 World Championship events to go. In 4th position, Stefan Johansson in the Ferrari, Johnny Dumfries for Lotus in 5th place, followed by Martin Brundle in 6th position. And there is Brundle, who has just been lapped by Ayrton Senna. And there is only one man other than Piquet and Senna who is on the same lap, and that's Nigel Mansell. And I think Mansell's going to be lapped before very much longer, because they're lapping in, what, about 1 minute 32 seconds, and the gap between Piquet leading and Mansell 3rd is 1 minute 27. So Mansell's only about 5 seconds ahead of Piquet on the track, and nearly a full lap behind him in terms of race distance. There's Senna. This HungaroRing circuit, on which about £6 or £7 million has been spent fence. 6 months ago there was nothing but this rolling valley here. Now there is this magnificent installation of the 2.5-mile circuit. The only criticism that the drivers make of it is that they would like it to be a bit quicker than it is, with the exception of one man, Christian Danner, Christmas dinner himself, who says, why not a slow circuit? We've got plenty of fast ones, and it's the same for everybody, including Nelson Piquet leading, Ayrton Senna second. But if the Hungarians want to make this circuit faster by eliminating one or both of the chicanes, which they could do pretty easily, that is a problem which is very easily overcome. And there is Johnny Dumfries. We haven't seen much of him. The Scotsman in 5th position. Is he on his way to his first World Championship points? Well, he certainly is at the moment, provided he can keep the car running. Piquet over the line now, Senna over the line now, and the gap is 3.1 seconds to the nearest 10th. Piquet is maintaining his lead. You're looking at Nigel Mansell now. I remind you that Nigel Mansell is nearly a full lap behind his team leader, Nelson Piquet, who is gaining on him. Here's the Englishman, the World Championship leader, having won 4 Grand Prix in 1986.
It's interesting to see that Senna seems to be holding Nelson Piquet and seems to have got over the bad patch that he went through. Now, it is possible when you grain a tyre, and talking of graining, Piquet's left front doesn't look too clever, looks a little bit marked, but when you grain a tyre, it is possible, if you take it easy for a few laps, to clean the tyre up again and get the graining off the tread. And it does look to me that Senna's tyres look a lot better than they did 6 or 7 laps ago, and that is showing because he's now holding Piquet.
The 2 fastest men in practice, Senna in pole position, his teammate Piquet in 2nd place on the grid, leading the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's actually the 2nd Hungarian Grand Prix, because there was one in 1936 before the World Championship, which began in 1950, started, and that was won by the immortal Tazio Nuvolari, the Italian driver. And it's not generally realised that it was a Hungarian that won the first ever Grand Prix. A man called Ferenc Szécs, who won in a Renault in 1906, the French Grand Prix. So Hungary's got a bit of a racing background, not as much as it would like, but thanks to Bernie Ecclestone, and there is Stefan Johansson, the tremendously popular Swede, and we're all hoping that Johansson is keeping his place in the Ferrari team, because with the greatest of respect to Nigel Mansell, Ferrari's problem this year is not that it hasn't got a good driver. It's got 2 superb drivers in Michele Alboreto, who finished 2nd in the World Championship last year, and Stefan Johansson. They don't need a driver, they need a better car. And if they've got John Barnard, as seems to be the case, and he's allowed to design the car in Britain, as seems to be the case, they're going to have a better car next year. They've never had an engine power problem. It was a chassis and handling problem. Piquet leading. What another marvellous fillip for Frank Williams this will be if Nelson Piquet wins the Grand Prix for the 3rd time this year and the 2nd in succession, having won at Hockenheim in Germany 2 years ago. And although I thought anyway, he may have been having a bit of tyre problem after momentarily locking them up. Now he's right with Nigel Mansell. Nelson Piquet, I said that Nelson Piquet wasn't on the best of terms with Ayrton Senna. He's not exactly on the best of terms with Nigel Mansell, actually, although they're in the same team. And Piquet, who has won 2 Grand Prix to Nigel Mansell's 4 this year, will delight, I'm sure, in lapping his teammate and the World Championship leader, which seemingly he is about to do on lap 64. Well, is Nigel going to let him through? Because if he isn't, Senna is going to be right up with Piquet, and Piquet's getting anxious. He's waving his hand.
Yes, and I think Nigel is, well, that that was very gentlemanly of him, because I think the aggravation between them has largely been down to Nelson, so that was a very gentlemanly thing to do by Nigel Mansell. So Piquet gets away, and he certainly needs to, because Senna is in very threatening position right behind.
And is Nigel Mansell going to let Ayrton Senna through is the next question. After all, Nigel Mansell lost his position in the Lotus team to Ayrton Senna, and racing drivers are human beings, you know, and if they can make it a little difficult for the chap who they reckon has done them a disservice, they're not above doing it. And I think that may be happening now. Piquet has completed the lap, and Senna dives out from behind Nigel Mansell, and the gap is 3.3 seconds. So, without a doubt, Nigel Mansell momentarily, deliberately or not, inadvertently or not, I don't think it was deliberate, held up Senna a bit, and Senna's lost about 0.3 of a second on the gap that he had between himself and Piquet. So you see the first three men together now. Piquet leading, Senna second, Mansell third, and Mansell has been lapped by both the first and the second place men. Johansson is still fourth, lapped. Dumfries is still fifth, lapped. Martin Brundle is sixth, lapped twice.
Yes, I have to say, I think Nigel deliberately helped his teammate there. He appeared to me to hold Senna up a little bit, just not enough to be bad manners, as it were, but enough just to help Nelson a bit, and that really is a case of turning the other cheek, and I must really congratulate him on his gentlemanliness for that.
World Championship prediction, if they all stay in the same places, Mansell will be leading on 55 points, with Senna 7 points behind in second place, with Piquet in third position, 1 point behind Senna, 47. Alain Prost, no points in this race, but he started in second place with 44, will move down to fourth position in the World Championship, and we continue to have the intriguing situation of the World Championship being very much alive as the season progresses. The gap now between Nelson Piquet and Ayrton Senna is 3.4 seconds. The remaining cars in the race, 2 Williams, 2 Lotus, 2 Tyrrell, because both Martin Brundle and Philippe Streff are still running. Johansson's Ferrari, the Lola of Patrick Tambay, the Ligier of Philippe Alliot, and the Zaxpeed of Jonathan Palmer. So the first 10, Piquet leads. There he is. Senna second, and they are both on their 66th lap. Mansell third, Johansson fourth, Dumfries fifth, Brundle sixth, Tambay seventh, Streff eighth, Alliot ninth, Palmer 10th, and you are looking at Johnny Dumfries in the black and gold Lotus in fifth position, being caught and about to be passed by race leader Piquet.
Well, Johnny Dumfries is about to be lapped for the second time, but he must be a very happy man. First time the Lotus has really run well for him throughout a race meeting. He qualified extremely well, and it really has been far and away the best Grand Prix for him. We just keep our fingers crossed that the car will keep going, that he can keep it on the island, keep everything right, and get some points.
Yes, but as Piquet has still not been able to get Dumfries, the gap between himself and Senna is down to 1.8 seconds. And I'm positive that Dumfries will let Senna through. He, like his teammate, is in contact with the Lotus team pit by radio, and Peter Wall, the team manager, will be appraising him of the situation, and you can see how close the two leaders, Piquet and Senna, are, and the gap is 1.2 seconds, and it was nearly 3.4 seconds the previous lap. They're coming up to catch Jonathan Palmer, who is in 10th place in the Zaxpeed.
This has got a real race to the line, and Piquet, remember, stopped and changed his tyres a little bit before half distance, and I would think that he may be beginning to struggle for grip. Senna stopped quite significantly later than he did, and remember how well... Oh, and Piquet goes wide. That's a mistake by Nelson Piquet, and I think he is struggling for grip.
Oh, what a fantastic ending to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Lap 67, and the two Brazilians are together. Williams Honda leading, Lotus Renault second. Piquet wanting every point he can get to improve his chances in the World Championship. He is in fourth position at the moment. Senna is in third position at the moment. Down to turn 17. Is Senna going to do to Piquet what Piquet did to Senna earlier on? Not this lap he isn't, because he's not close enough. That's 67 laps completed.
And I think Piquet may have turned his boost up then, because he positively stretched the gap on the straight as he powered his way past the pit. So he may well be fiddling with his boost control to keep Senna behind him. The clever thing to do would be turn it up for the pit straight, turn it down again for the back of the circuit to conserve his fuel if he's got any sort of a fuel problem.
Which he shouldn't have. The general feeling amongst the team managers before the race began was that this HungaroRing, because of its comparatively slow lap speed, just under 100 miles an hour, should not impose a fuel consumption problem, even though there is a lot of second gear and third gear work and a lot of stopping and starting. That would not consume as much fuel as a really fast circuit, like the one that we've got next weekend, the HungaryHungaroring in Austria, which is probably going to beat Silverstone this year, because the Grand Prix at Silverstone and Brands Hatch are held alternate years. Austria is every year at the HungaryHungaroring, and there's a possibility that Austria will become the quickest Grand Prix of all next weekend. But that's next weekend. This weekend, here is Piquet crossing the line, 1.5 seconds ahead of Senna, who was closer to him earlier in the lap. So it would appear that Nelson Piquet is back in command again, albeit temporarily.
Yes, it's extraordinary how the gap is bouncing up and down. The only explanation I can think of is that Piquet has had a crack at his boost control. In the Williams car they have three positions, low, medium and high, and he can punch it onto high boost, because Piquet certainly seems to be slithering about a bit, so his tires are on the ragged edge. It's too late now to stop the new ones, and he may have to rely on the very powerful Honda engine to keep Ayrton Senna at bay.
2.49 mile laps to go at the end of this lap, which is lap 69. Within your picture, that's how close it is. Piquet leading in the Williams Honda. There, Ayrton Senna in the Lotus Renault, 26-year-old Ayrton Senna from Sao Paulo, living in Isha in Surrey. Nelson Piquet lives in Monte Carlo, and Senna visibly closes on Piquet coming out of turn 16 into turn 17. He could be in a passing situation towards the end of this straight, but he won't pass here. But if he can keep this up, he could do on the next lap.
It's spectacular how Piquet stretches that gap when they get onto the straight. I'm sure he turned the boost control down there for the twisty section of the lap and whacked it up again when they went onto the straight, because he positively sprinted away.
And there, Ayrton Senna, 1:31.43, has broken his own previous lap record. He's made his tyres last spectacularly well. He came in later than anybody else, retook the lead from Nelson Piquet, only to lose it again to his fellow Brazilian. And the Williams Honda and the Lotus Renault go round the corners with, what, 20 car lengths between them on their 70th lap. See the crowd spellbound by this first World Championship Hungarian Grand Prix. This is the exit from turn 10 on towards turn 12, down towards the bottom chicane, with Piquet leading, Senna second, Mansell third, Johansson fourth, Dumfries fifth, Brundle in sixth position, and in the World Championship points for Ken Tyrrell out of turn 17 to complete another lap, which is his 70th, comes Piquet, and the gap as Senna goes across the line is 2.3 seconds. It's extending.
Yes, and Senna seems to have trouble around turn 16. I've noticed for a couple of the last 3 laps he's been very slow and lost a lot of ground around turn 16.
With all the interest on these two Brazilians, let us not lose sight of the fact that Britain's Nigel Mansell, on 4 points for finishing in third position at the Hungarian Grand Prix, which is where he is at the present moment, will still be in the lead for the third Grand Prix in succession in the World Championship. A long, long time since that has happened. John Watson was the last British driver to be leading the World Championship, and now the gap 2.253 seconds. You can see what that means in terms of circuit distance. Mansell, of course, is a lap behind Piquet and Senna, but Stefan Johansson is catching him. We're not seeing it because, understandably, we're concentrating. Our Hungarian producer is concentrating on the battle for the lead, but Stefan Johansson in the Ferrari is fairly flying along. I don't think he can catch Nigel Mansell. Sorry, I've misread my reader. It's 9 seconds, not 0.9 of a second. But nevertheless, Johansson is making good progress. The leader's now on lap 72. The calm conversation, or the calm words that are going across the airwaves on the circuit between Frank Williams or Patrick Head and Nelson Piquet leading the race. Piquet, of course, will see Senna in his wing mirrors. Down comes the time again, 98 miles an hour. That's only 1.7 miles an hour slower than Senna's pole position speed. That shows you how quick the race is in its closing stages.
Yep, Senna's visibly catching Piquet again. We've got a real sprint to the line. Because both of these drivers can use plenty of power. Gap seesawing about a little bit, but Senna at the moment is piling on the pressure.
Now, just to add a little spice for your entertainment, it looks to us, and this is unofficial, as though the race is only going to last 76 laps. As Piquet comes out of the corner now and across the line to complete his 72nd lap, and Senna is now less than 2 seconds behind him. Turn 1. Lap 73. Is this going to be a 76 or a 77 lap race? And it's not that we're not aware of what is happening on our lap charts. We're totally aware of that. What we are not aware of is how the organisers are looking at this in terms of a 2-hour or a 77 lap race, and it could be absolutely vital because Senna is closing the gap. He's going faster yet. 98.4 miles an hour, a new fast system, therefore a new record lap in this first World Championship Hungarian Grand Prix. Brazilian Senna is catching Brazilian Piquet. Is the older man, Nelson Piquet, 33 years old, to Ayrton Senna's 26, slightly losing his grip on the race, or is he magnificently pacing himself?
That is some concern from Nelson Piquet. I couldn't see who it was, but the back marker not far in front. It looks like one of the Ligiers.
Yeah, it's Philippe Alliot, and I was saying earlier on that René Arnoux is not famous for his willingness to move over. Philippe Alliot is pretty well known for his ability to move in front of people, which he jolly nearly did there. But anyway, Piquet's passed him, and now Senna has got the problem of getting past the Frenchman.
Yes, because Senna's got to go probably the whole lap unless Alliot moves out of the way. round fit straight again. Elio was very courteous then for Nelson Piquet. He went inside the normal racing line, got on the slippery stuff, had a bit of a twitch, but all was well.
Well, that did Nelson Piquet no harm at all, because the lead has gone up to over 3 seconds now. And there's just 2.5 minutes to go in the race, we think. We are on lap 74 now. And Nelson Piquet would seem, misfortune accepted, to be on his way to winning, because now he's the fastest man in the race, nearly 99 miles an hour. Nearly 99 miles an hour, a new lap record, so Nelson Piquet clearly had something in reserve, and he's pulling away from Ayrton Senna.
Senna has appeared to slow right down, so Senna may just be in a little bit of trouble.
Here comes Piquet to complete his 74th lap, and whilst you are looking at the Brazilian going into lap 75, I am looking down the track both to see where Senna is and to see if somebody comes out on the circuit with the checkered flag. Senna is in trouble, 7 seconds. There's the caption which says 3 laps to go, but is it?
Senna's used... If he has used too much fuel, remember he's using the much thirstier of the Renault engines, then of course that could let Nigel Mansell in for 6 points, which would be a wonderful bonus for him.
Oh, it's a nerve tingler, all right. Well, Mansell's through. Mansell is now on his 74th lap, whereas Piquet, that you're looking at, and Senna behind him are on their 75th. I look across the course. I see nobody emerging from the control box with a checkered flag, and there would appear to be the answer. Just under 2 minutes to go. I should think Nelson Piquet will be starting his last lap at the completion of this one, and he is going to be starting it in a situation of a certain victory, if he can just do that 1 lap at the speed that he's going now, because Senna is rapidly slipping out of contention. Is he slipping out of the race? Well, if Senna can cross the line, he should be all right for that 2nd place, because don't forget that Nigel Mansell has been lapped by both Piquet and Senna. And here's Piquet starting what may well be his last lap. I can't see any official giving him the traditional 1 lap to go signal.
Yes, this will certainly be the last lap, and I speculate that Senna has been using his head again. He's certainly developed, in his fairly limited experience, a very good tactical brain, and I speculate that he slowed down to conserve fuel, given up the chase to Senna, but is conserving to protect his 2nd place and the 6th point.
Well, officially, there is still a lap to go at the end of this one. We're on lap 76. You've seen the caption. I still see nobody with a checkered flag. Nelson Piquet is halfway round the lap.
And a really cracking Grand Prix this has been. First race in the Eastern Bloc, and how well they've done. The facilities are marvellous here, and Senna looking in a little bit of trouble as Piquet keeps it cool, but Senna really has driven a tremendous race.
And the checkered flag is going out. Out comes the finish official as down towards the last bend goes Nelson Piquet on what is, after all, going to have been a 76-lap race. The Brazilian is on his way to his 3rd Grand Prix win of the year, his 2nd in succession. An absolutely superb drive to move up into 3rd position in the World Championship behind Senna and Mansell. The checkered flag goes out. Piquet has won the 1st World Championship Hungarian Grand Prix, and Senna is a long, long way back. Senna is touring in by his standards, but he finishes in 2nd position, and Piquet and Senna are the only ones to go the full distance. with, subject to official confirmation, Nigel Mansell third and still leading the World Championship. Stefan Johansson fourth in the Ferrari. Johnny Dumfries fifth in the Lotus Renault. Martin Brundle sixth in the Tyrrell Renault. Three British drivers in the top six after a magnificent Hungarian Grand Prix.